Welcome inside the LSU Gymnastics Training Center. I'm your host, the voice of LSU Gymnastics, Mike Smith, and joining me today are three of the very best coaches in all of the NCAA, assistant coach Bob Moore, associate head coach Jay Clark, and the head coach of LSU Gymnastics, D-D Breaux. D.D., we would like to talk today about the Tigers philosophy and exactly how we go about assimilating Tigers that you recruit from all over the country, but also all over the world. What goes into making that happen?
I say it all the time, Mike, it's a village. It's a group effort. Jay does a remarkable job of quality recruiting, not just going after anybody that's interested in coming to LSU, but going after someone that will work hard and be successful in our system. And the village is all of the people that contribute to the success of our program: academics, nutritionist, strength coach. I mean, the list goes on. And as you go through our media guide, you'll understand exactly who the players are in this village. But I think the main thing when you have kids from all over the country and different parts of the world is a consistent message.
Well, and Jay, this is a good opportunity to ask you, you know, you talk about that consistent message all of the time inside the training center, but you have to look for young ladies who are willing to put team above self in a sport that at younger ages is not necessarily as conducive to that.
Well, for me, the biggest word is character, and in the recruiting process now, with it being as early as it has become, it's more difficult to identify some of those personality traits that you once were able to identify when you could actually meet with the family and get to know the people that were involved. Nowadays, we're recruiting and learning things about these young women through their coaches, and watching them interact with their coaches on the floor, watching them interact with their parents when they're at a competition site and we happen to be there. You try to glean as much as you can about a personality, about the character of the individual as you can, because that's as much a part of what we do. If we've got individuals, the gymnastics, I mean, there's a lot of great gymnasts out there. But the thing that's going to make the difference is it the type of personality that when they get there, are they going to be bought into the message that we're trying to cultivate here? And that is one of a very close-knit, invested group of people who care about each other as individuals, inside and outside of the gym. And that comes from the coaches to the athletes and back to us as well. So it's a very difficult thing to do, and it's not a perfect science to identify those individuals, but we do the best we can.
Well, and doing a very good job, if any of the results speak for themselves. And Bob, this is a great opportunity for me to ask you about the academic side of the student athlete, because it's one of your key duties that you're involved with for the team. Jay spoke to the character side, but studies are awfully important once they get here on campus.
Oh yes, we push it. We drag it, we shove it, but we've got great kids, and academically they're sound, they try, they work hard, they care, and that's part of the character that he spoke about. You know, our kids are very character-oriented in that they're close to each other, they buy into what we are selling and what we are offering, and they're just a great group. So our academic support service is great. Our counseling is great. So, I mean, we just do the best we can and help them to reach their goals.
Well, and to a follow-up on that, if I could, and that is that the Tigers gymnastics program has often led most of the sports here on campus in GPA and in other areas. What makes a gymnast such a great student?
I think it's learning how to time prioritize, how to know what's important, and how to list things and then follow their list. Good instruction.
Well, and D.D., if I could, with regards to once they get here inside your village, that you like to call it, how do you go about making sure that they grow over a 4-year period of time? They come into a brand new university, they come into a brand new city in a lot of cases, and how do they grow over 4 years?
In a lot of ways, and when the growing starts to happen, when the realization of what I want to be when I grow up, where I want to go, when they can paint a picture and then point to where they want to go, we know that we're on the right road. But we work hard at it, Mike. It doesn't just happen. Good team chemistry doesn't just happen. Kids don't come together and you have 15, 16, sometimes 18 girls. That's like herding cats. That's a tough call. And a consistent message from the staff, I go back to that all the time, and we always preach that the family comes first, and we want our kids to be a family, to treat each other like a family, to respect each other, to communicate. We have affirmations that we say every single day. Each one of them has one. And then we finish it with the pride and tradition of the LSU Tigers will not be entrusted to the weak or the timid. And in this society and what these kids have to go through and the challenges that they have every day, we want the gym to be a safe haven. We want the gym to be a place where they can be happy, be successful, be themselves, work as hard as they can possibly work, and know that they have every opportunity to be as successful as they can possibly be.
Jay, D-D just touched on facilities, and this is, if not the finest in the world, it's within the top 3 for certain. All of the effort that went in to help construct this and build this, it fits right alongside with that character you talk about, character of a program.
Everywhere you look in this building, you see reminders of that message that D-D just talked about. Everywhere you go, you can find tidbits of that consistent message that she's talking about. She mentioned respect and communication. We have a thing on the wall in our team meeting room that describes what our core values are going to be, all the way up to what we want our environment to look like and feel like in the gym. And respect and communication are 2 of the core tenets of what we talk about, and D-D just mentioned that. But more than that, I think this building exudes one of the main characteristics of the head coach here, and that is enthusiasm. Everywhere you look in this building, you know where you are. You know you're at LSU. You know you're part of the Tiger Nation. And when you walk into our gym, you're going to feel that enthusiasm and that drive and that determination. And you're surrounded by excellence, which I think breeds excellence. When you look around on these walls and you see how many things have happened here over the last 40 years, it truly is an inspirational place to be that is very consistent with what we talk about in terms of being enthusiastic and having respect for everything that came before us to help enable us to be where we are now.
And Bob, just like D-D and Jay, you have coached national champions here at LSU. So you start off with a young lady of character, someone that's going to work hard in the classroom. And then it's all about the work that goes in down on that first floor, right? Right.
I mean, they come in and they apply themselves the same way they apply themselves in the classroom, and they see success, And it makes me out to be a very good coach, but really, I've got very great kids.
Well, let me say something, Mike. He is a great coach. He can break down a vault to the smallest, minute piece of that vault and then hone it and rub it and work it and make those kids believe so much that the next half twist is just that close. And the next thing you know, we've got a great vaulting team. So don't let him sell himself short.
Well, and also, I can go sit in the office with Jay, and I like to do this. Sit down and pick his brain, and we talk about different things that he's seen, his recruiting across the country, drills, thoughts. Do the same thing with D-D, so I've got a great resource. So,
but you're building from a position of strength, though, aren't you? Because of the level of student athlete that's come onto campus.
Well, that goes back to great recruiting. He's not giving me somebody that's a project. That's the most beautiful part of everything. Not only do I have Bob's Playhouse here, I've got all kinds of toys in there, more than I've ever had in my whole life. Even more than when I was at other places. This place is phenomenal. But I've got great kids, too.
And so when those two intersect, great things happen.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike, I think what you just heard was an example of probably one of the greater pieces of our coaching philosophy, in that we're very much a team. We bounce things off of each other on every event. A lot of times when a recruit or somebody comes on campus, one of the first things they want to know is, what event do you coach, or what do you coach? And it's a little more difficult for us to answer that here. Yeah, we have an event that we are in charge of making sure the direction is right, but there's a lot of crossover in the gym. You know, D-D will
Yeah.
walk over by bars, or Bob will walk out to floor, or I'll go over to beam. I mean, there's a lot of input that comes from 3 different sets of eyes, and Ashley Claire Kearney 4 different sets of eyes when she's able to be with us. So I think what you just heard there in that little banter was an example of that very thing.
D-D, if you had to sum it up in a sentence or less about the philosophy in 40 years of coaching the LSU Tigers, what would it be?
I got to go back to the pride and the tradition and the camaraderie and what we have been able to develop here with the support of a great university, the support of an athletic administration that truly believes in our sport and in our program. But it's also, we're intense about what we do, and we may come across as intense, but the bottom line is we have a great sense of humor. Our kids have a wonderful time, and they are so committed to making LSU #1.
And thank you for taking time to take an inside look at the coaching philosophy of your Fighting Tigers of LSU.